Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Wrestling. It's Tuesday, and as by ever, we're joined by Tim. Hi, Tim. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Lee. I'm pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So, Tim, our question of the week, what is it?
Who had the biggest impact during the Attitude Era? And we're not just talking superstars, we're saying outside factors as well.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to say Eric Bischoff or Ted Turner, WCW, basically. If it wasn't for them doing what they were doing during the 83 weeks, announcing Raw results, bringing wrestlers over, it wouldn't even going live on Monday nights. That sort of kicked Raw to have to be live every week. I think that wouldn't have then forced WWE and Vince's hand to do what they did. And then obviously on the WWE side, I'm going to say Vince McMahon because he had that vision to bring his personality to a character of the Vince McMahon character, which gave us Stone Cold and then gave us one of the hottest feuds during the Attitude Era. So I'm going to say Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, I can understand both points of view. But do you think that's them as themselves or as characters?
I think, and we've seen this from a lot of guys since in interviews, they say their character is them 10 times that. And obviously, with the stuff coming out about Vince, it probably sort of showed Vince was just being a narcissist and portraying himself on TV because the way he treated the divas, very sexualised women, which for that era worked because of the demographic they were going for. So I think Vince was definitely being himself. Eric, I think, is a very shrewd businessman, and I think he was just for short-term gains and short-term wins. And it's that thing when you feel like you've toppled the master company, you get very big-headed and egotistical, and I think that in a way was a bit of their downfall as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think there's a really good point and really important people that we shouldn't forget, even in the current climate. I know Vince is, for want of a better word, being cancelled, but it is important to remember the impact that they had on wrestling.
Yeah, and also I think we've got to remember, and this is what I've said about other things, when things were happening back then, doesn't mean it's right nowadays, and we've learnt from it, but at the time, we've got to remember it was acceptable. So, like you
Yeah,
said, we've got to not forget it. We can't always condone people's actions, but we've also got to remember it's been at a time that we've learnt from, and it was acceptable to do what they were doing with the divas. It was acceptable to show people getting ahead. Look at the start of one of the WCW nights. There was an assault in a car park that locals phoned the actual police, believing there was an actual assault going on. Now, nowadays, seeing that, that's craziness, but it was accepted back then. And I think we've just got
yeah,
to
no,
realise that. We're not praising it, but if it wasn't for those moments, we wouldn't have had the Attitude Era. And that is what we grew up on as wrestling fans.
yeah, no, absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree.
Well, Tim, that was my view. Who have you got?
Now I'm really getting controversial. You've got you've
Okay.
got people that carried the Attitude Era. We've got people like Austin. We've got The Rock. We've got The Undertaker. I'm going to go with Triple H.
Oh, okay.
Okay. People seem to forget that Triple H almost helped start the Attitude Era with D-Generation X and Shawn Michaels. Once that feud continued and they got through it, and afterwards he then created his own version of DX, they were still front and center of the Attitude Era. They helped do things such as the invasion of WCW. So they were always important. But then if you fast forward after the end of DX and he starts his first championship run, without him, Austin and The Rock do not have anybody to face that's on their level.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I remember, like, when the network sent in their censorship list and DX read it out.
Yeah.
And in a way,
Yeah.
it
So
weren't great, but they had teenage kids walking around school telling everyone to suck it. That just proves how much of an influence they were over a generation.
yeah, no, and this is it. They had such a big impact on everything that happened, and he was the front and center of all of it. Some of the best storylines involved Triple H. Some of the best pay-per-view matches involved Triple H. I think he, during the Attitude Era, is highly unsung. I don't think anybody working as a heel was on his level during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, like Tim, now you've made those points and makes actual sense. You're absolutely right. If you think back to all your best Attitude Era moments, Triple H is involved somehow. So that proves throughout a whole era, like I said, Austin had these moments, The Rock had his moments, The Undertaker had his moments. Triple H is that constant throughout. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And that is my opinion. What I will say to people out there is if you disagree with Lee and I, please make a comment down below. We are willing to read your comments and we do like listening to them.
Thank you so much. Next week, we're taking a break from this main podcast show and our question, but there's going to be lots of short content, so still keep an eye on the channel. Thanks everyone for watching. Please share this out with your friends, comment and hit the subscribe. And Tim, I will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Lee, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.